Christmas is 6 days away.
They were promised that the war would be over by Christmas. This is really the crucial point in the beginning of the First World War. If it didn't end then, it would last for a very long time.
Both sides make tremendous efforts to bring Christmas cheer to their demoralized troops. All 355,000 British soldiers at the Western Front are sent a Christmas present from Princess Mary. At home, the British public is encouraged to send the boys at the front all sorts of special cards, letters and presents. And it's the same for the Germans. There is an avalanche of warm winter clothing, food treats, tobacco, cigars and letters, letters, letters. This makes some soldiers even more homesick. Headquarters is very aware that during this period, the troops might let their guard down. Word is sent to the front, warning of this danger.
The sole object of war becomes obscured, and officers and men sink into military lethargy, from which it is difficult to arouse them when a moment for great sacrifices again arises.
As night falls on Christmas Eve, the concerns of headquarters seem prophetic. Something strange is happening over at the German lines. Sounds of some sort are drifting across the dark no-man's land. Sounds no one has ever heard before in this war. It's the sound of singing. The Germans must be planning a trick. On Christmas Eve 1914, in the 5th month of World War I, Allied soldiers are surprised by what they are hearing over from the German trenches. They are astonished by what they see. At first, everyone assumes it must be some German trick.
And that was how it started on Christmas night, with the lights on the German trench and songs being sung back and forth.
It was pretty much a German tradition. Christmas trees, St. Nicholas, it's something the Germans had always celebrated and something that we'd picked up in more recent times, so to them it meant a lot more. They'd been drinking, which was something that the British did discourage from the front line, so maybe it was just that the Germans were in more of a festive mood than we were.
Private Frank Sumter is one of the first to recognize what they are singing.
And then we heard the Germans singing Silent Night, Holy Night. Our boys said, let's join in. So we joined in with the song.
And in some places, there were actually instances where both sides of the Western Front, on both sides of no man's land, were singing the same hymn or carol, but in different languages at the same time.
The British sentries don't know what to make of what's happening across the narrow no man's land.
The Christmas tree was unknown in the rest of Europe. The Allied soldiers, they were amazed to see Christmas trees with lights on top, and they would wonder, what was it for? What is it about? The atmosphere must have been very special, and I think that added a lot to the fact that the truces did happen.
Private Leslie Walkington was there.
So then we began to pop our heads over the side and jump down quickly in case they shot, but they didn't shoot. And then we saw a German standing up waving his arms, and we didn't shoot.
You don't know what's going to happen. You have been told you have to come here, and those people you're facing are your enemies and you have to kill them. But really, all those young boys, they were not made to kill each other. They were afraid of each other.
So of course our boy said, well, if he can do it, we can do it. So Sergeant Major said, get down. So the boy, oh, no, shut up, Sergeant, it's Christmas time. So we all jumped up, and we all went forward.
When they met on Christmas Truce, first they were afraid of each other, and then they started to talk and shaking hands, and once they did that, it just seemed to be friends.
The British khaki and the German grey are soon gathering, all mingled together.
Would you believe it? By mutual consent, our battalion and the Germans opposite had a little armistice. It was really funny to see the hated antagonists standing in groups, laughing and talking and shaking hands.
These men have no idea that this moment is going to resound through history. This Christmas Day scene is exactly what the British High Command is worried about.
Friendly intercourse with the enemy and unofficial armistice, however tempting and occasionally amusing they may be, are absolutely prohibited. We impress on all subordinates the absolute necessity of encouraging the offensive spirit of the troops by every means in their power.
These men in no man's land are as much at risk from their own officers as they are from the enemy.